Hello there. I am Evangelist Katrina from the Norris Ave Missionary Baptist Church, and I have come today to show you how to make one of my very famous dishes, and it's called baked ziti. I've actually been making this dish, I want to say, for at least 20 years. You can never go wrong with a baked ziti. Now let's go over the ingredients we'll use today. You're going to use a 1 pound box of ziti noodles. Then we're going to have 2 pounds of ground beef, chopped bell peppers, chopped onions. We're going to have some Italian sausage, some Mexican style cheese, and some mozzarella. You'll need a colander. You'll need a mixing bowl, spatula, a spoon for browning the meat, a baking dish, a skillet, and a pot to boil the pasta. And I think that's it. Let's get started. So now we filled our pot about half full, and what I'm going to do is turn the eye on high. While I'm waiting for the water to boil, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my meat, and we're going to start browning the meat. Now I turned the temperature of the eye up to high because really all we need to do is brown the ground beef, because we're going to really cook it some more once we put it in the oven. Now for those of you who aren't meat eaters and you still think you might want to try this dish, what I have done in the past is I have substituted the meat with zucchini, and it turns out just as good and it tastes just as fabulous. Okay, now that our water is at a rapid boil, we can kind of leave this ground beef to do its own thing for a minute. Now I'm going to take just about a teaspoon of olive oil. Give it a good stir so that all of the noodles don't drop down to the bottom. Now we're going to come back over here and check on our meat. Okay, now look at this. When you stir it, look through it, you don't see any pink anywhere. We're going to take this skillet and I'm going to go over to the sink with the colander, and I'm going to drain off any excess grease that's left on the meat. We're going to get our meat, put it back on the eye, and what we're going to do now is we're going to add in our bell peppers and our onions. Maybe 3/4 of each bag. And you're going to let this cook together for just a couple minutes. You don't need a whole lot of experience to cook baked ziti, but you do need a whole lot of love, because that's what makes it good. You see my onions are starting to get opaque, so that tells me that it's time for the sauce. What I'm going to use for the sauce is a chunky ragu. The chunky vegetables kind of gives it a little substance, so that's what we're using today. Well, I've turned the heat down just a little bit. It'll just have to cook for a few minutes, because remember, what we'll do is put it in the oven. Now that we've got our sauce mixed in, I'm going to add our diced tomatoes. We're going to let this sauce sit here and simmer for a few minutes, and see, look at the difference in the noodles. So now the noodles have begun to shed that yellowy tint. So we're going to pour these through the strainer. We're going to pour the noodles into the mixing bowl. Now we've preset the oven for 350, and in 45 minutes we'll see what she looks like. Well, look at here, look at here. Oh my goodness. That is delicious. One of the things that I have done probably since I've been cooking is get your sales papers out of the newspaper and watch prices, and don't just go to a store because it's your favorite store. go to a place where you're gonna get the most bang for your buck. And then something that I have been doing, I know for at least 15 years, clip coupons. You'll be really surprised at how much money you can save when you clip a coupon.